What a great day to go on Reddit. What do we have here? The patch 5.22 notes. Let's check it out. Alrighty, so finally the preseason is here, and oh my god, oh fuck. What? I can't make a video on this, what the fuck? Alright, so for this video, it's just going to be much more shorter. It's going to go through everything, but my insight is going to be like very short and straight to the point instead of going in depth. And basically, throughout the video, I'm just going to be saying buff or nerf or, kind of different. As this video would probably be an hour, so I don't want to do that, but I make sure to go over the important stuff for you guys, like the big buffs or the big nerfs. So I do apologize if the insight is like very rushed and, it's not in depth and going over like all the changes. So 3, 2, 1. Quinn can fly around the map anytime she wants and kill people, in which I feel this is a really good buff. Graves gets a shotgun and has a super fucking OP Q along with a super OP E, and his shotgun does like a bajillion damage up close. Attack speed sucks on him, so don't build a lot of that. You better go AD, CDR, and crit. Corki does a lot more magic damage and also has this weird ass passive where he flies across the map and basically has a Rumble ultimate, and now you're gonna build Haunting Guys, Sork Shoes, and Void Staff for, just killing people. Kaguma gets 5.0 attack speed, and you'll probably be building a lot of on-hit stuff like Gunza's Rage Blade and Whitson, and I don't know what the hell else you're gonna buy. Miss Fortune gets a new passive where every time she switches targets, she does a bit more damage, but that sucks ass because her base stats are going down, so she doesn't really have that much. Look at this, it's pretty shitty, and her ultimate now scales with total attack damage, which makes it more shitty. Sort of. Caitlyn's headshot now procs off W and E, and also her W is on the ammo charge system, and yes, she's looking better than ever. Ash no longer crits every time due to a mastery change, and yes, this is going to be a nerf. Draven is the same. Azrael looks like he's getting a nerf due to these numbers being increased, but the cooldown reduction on hit is being increased by 1.5 seconds, but if you remember, getting cooldown reduction helps him a lot, so it's kind of a buff once you have 40%. But it's shitty if you don't have any CDR. Jinx loses 15% total attack speed when she's using the rocket launcher, but she gets 15% when she gets a stack on her passive, and they also stack, but it is also a big nerf to her. The rocket launcher, I mean. Glissa's passive now scales in attack speed, so this means it's going to be weaker in the early game, but once she gets some attack speed, she'll be bunny hopping all day in the mid game and late game. Blackanola no longer scales with attack speed on his ultimate, so getting a lot of AD makes his ultimate actually do so much damage, so yeah, fuck attack speed. Sivir's W's cooldown starts when you cast it, so now you're going to see cooldown reduction Sivir all day. Tristana's jump now resets when explosive charge detonates at the maximum stacks, but the base damage is going down, plus there's no more increased damage per stack of explosive charge, so it looks like she's getting nerfed. His Q now resets when an enemy dies, and his ultimate's duration is reduced by 2 seconds, so overall it's pretty interesting, but I think it's kind of in between nerfs and buffs. Now Varus' ultimate applies 3 stacks of blight, so you want to cast a spell immediately after you hit someone. And is going to be more of a bitch to tanks, but it looks like she's going to do less damage to squishies. Urgot's getting a buff since he has damage reduction like Alistar. Now Kindra's passive is capped at 75 plus 10 per stack, so she can't do Baron as fast, and also she can now hunt the Baron Nashor or Rift Herald, but she'll probably never get Rift Herald because, well, she probably won't get 6 stacks by 20 minutes. Clones from LeBlanc, Shaco, and Wukong are all getting fake blue buff and red buff if the person has it, and also will show items this time. Base attack damage is getting buffed, but attack damage growth stat is getting nerfed on all of these champions, so Triforce is better in the early game, but weaker in the late game. Base mana on all these champions are being buffed, but also their mana growth stat are also being nerfed due to no mana potions in Season 6. All supports are getting mana regen buffs for some reason, maybe it's due to mana potion, I have no idea. Grievous Wounds now reduces healing by 40% and only affects self-healing instead of all healing, so Soraka, you're still good. What? Wait, Soraka's so OP, what? Teemo's getting buffed, as all these abilities, if they are blind and they do hit someone, will not have any effect and consume the charge. Herald is like a mini Baron buff, and it's really easy to take down, and when you give it to a laner, they get more powerful minions, but they don't get the defensive stats of the Baron buff. Minis now spawn at 115, and jungle camps spawn at 140, so make sure you get used to this change. Now you get more gold every 5 seconds, and the 2 shittiest members of each team will get an initial 2 gold per 5 seconds, after 12 minutes. Also supports will probably be getting this buff. Kill streaks now give global gold, which begins at 2, so when you kill someone who has 2 consecutive kills, your team will get 400 gold in total. Then next up, when you have 3 kills, 450, and then 600 and 650, and then 750. So there's a thing called assist streaks, which I never knew about, but basically this thing, I do not like it because it seems a bit unbalanced. They're probably going to tune down the numbers. Lots of numbers are changing to turrets, but basically, turrets are easier to take down, so if you have a really good siege comp in the early game and you take down the towers, it's, well, GG, because it's snowbally. Alright, so there's a bunch of changes happening in minions, but basically, if your team's average level is higher than enemies, you get damage bonus and damage reduction. If your team is higher at least 3, and you have 2 or more towers in one lane, then they get super powerful in terms of damage reduction and attack damage. Only on enemy minions though. This is really good for teams who need lanes to push, so they can have a lot of pressure on the map, and honestly the game is probably going to snowball out of control if the average level is higher by 3 than enemy's team's level. So in terms of jungle, the blue is now giving ability power to whoever has it, and now red buff applies on turrets, and everything is actually giving less experience, but you're also getting more gold reward. Armor is being reduced on some of the shit in the jungle. That means armor penetration is weaker, so you might want to go physical damage if you're like Rengar or something like Wukong, you know what I mean. And everything's getting health, so yeah, it's going to be a bit easier. Teleport is now being reverted how it was in Season 3, 2, and 1. Will it still probably be in the meta? Probably, because I feel like people have figured out how to actually efficiently use this spell. Disco Nunu is being nerfed, and all the items you see here are being removed. RIP Brutalizer, that's a pretty good item, but you know, we'll see other items. Alright, so for the marksman itemization, I'm just going to be going down the list and saying buff or nerf or different. If it's different, I'll be kind of going in depth with it, or if it's new, of course, too. So basically, buff, nerf. Huge buff on this one. And then this one's a buff, this one's a nerf because gold is being increased. This one's nerf. This one's a buff, I like the crit chance. This one is different, but it's really different. It's a new item, but it's probably still going to be viable. This one got actually a huge nerf because even though it can crit, look at this, 0.5 attack damage to 0.25. So when you do crit, you're actually just doing 0.5 total attack damage plus the attack speed gets nerfed. So this one looks disgusting. I don't like it that much unless you actually have on hit like what's the name, Kog'Maw. This one is I don't know about this item. No comment. This one actually gets a buff. It's really nice. This one is a shit item. Don't buy it. Shitty item. Nerf. Only buy when there's tanks. All these items right here suck. So don't ever upgrade your Last Whisper into these items because there's better items you could probably buy. Buff because lifesteal, and then nerf. So we're going to do ability power itemization, and I'm just going to say nerf, buff, or different. So basically nerf. Oh wait, this one actually gets a buff. Nerf. This one is different. I think it's getting a nerf, but I really can't tell. I've never used it. Nerf. This one, Abyssal Scepter is actually getting buff. So since it's actually getting buff and it's a really efficient item, this one's probably going to be really core in a lot of items, champions, and people who can actually use this item to full efficiency will probably be good. Same with Lich Bane, same with Masters too, so you might see like, you know, more Twisted Fate or Dan or something like that. Alright, so we're gonna do the same thing here, so nerf, but then we have buffs here. Then nerf, and then we got a buff here. Then a huge nerf on Angus Legion, but I think the Locket of Solari still gets 50 magic resist, plus the gold is going down, so interesting buff. Alright, so jungle items, think of Hunter's Machete as a new item since it's getting 8% lifesteal, and now you do 20 damage on hit, so champions like Lee Sin, Kog'Maw, Shyvana, all these AD carry, whatever champions you want to play will be getting this. For like tanks and mages, you'll be getting this item because you get mana regeneration, so you rely on skills, and also you steal 20 health flat over 5 seconds, so you know, since you're not doing a lot of damage on your auto attacks, use this. Oh yeah, you also get 15 bonus experience, which isn't a lot from killing large monsters. And for these items, you'll be getting 30 bonus experience since you're combining those two items. Knife is basically replacing your special smite for 2 charges of wards, so that's actually pretty good and probably going to be used the most. So for enchantments, big nerf, because, well, most junglers scale with armor penetration better. And then buff indirectly because everything right here is getting gold increases, so Devour is actually much more stronger. Alright, so we're going to be doing the same thing here, so buff, and then nerf, because a lot of shit's going down, and then buff, and then a pretty good buff, because now the shield will slow people for 2 seconds for 40%, so that's actually really good instead of that shitty damage that it really didn't do. And then buff, and then finally the Frost Queen gets Twin Shadows, and then nerf. This one's kind of a buff because it's reduced gold, and then nerf. So we'll be talking about the vision items, and now it costs 75 gold, so buff. This one's a nerf on wards because you can't buy wards anymore, so whatever. And then now you have Rebel, which is a useless change because basically just appears a circle when the ward dies. Sight Stone is now going down to 3 wards, while Ruby Crystal gets a new passive where item active cooldowns are reduced by 10%, but it's still probably going to be useless. You can now combine the gold generation item plus the Sight Stone to get 4 charges on, you know, the item. And also, I'm not sure if people are actually going to buy this or Frostfang, but you know, the actives on Frost Queen and like Face of Mountain are really good, so I think you're gonna see them getting that instead of these 3 items you see right here. Okay, so for trinkets, there's only 4 trinkets, and now they all scale with level, and you can actually purchase 2 of them for free at level 9, but you don't have to. For instance, sometimes you want to keep the warding totem instead of getting the Farsight alteration. You know, this would only be gotten on AD carries, but for the sweeping lens line, obviously for this one, you'll always want to get Oracle's alteration just because it's so much better at clearing wards. So starting items and consumables, goddamn. Doran Shield gets a nerf, this one gets a buff, this one actually gets a nerf in the early game, but gets a buff in the later game. This one is a pretty interesting snowball item, but I don't think I'd ever buy it, because it's pretty weak in my opinion. This one just straight out sucks, and you'll never buy it because you'll lose lane presence. This one, ooh 50 gold, you'll probably still buy it, I mean, it's a health potion. This one, I'd never buy it for a laner, but of course you want to get it always for a jungle. This one, you have to get it for every jungler, unless you have energy, then you don't need it, or if you have too much sustain. This one, you'll never get, it's a bad item. Don't ever buy this item. It actually just sucks. 15 to 30 magic damage at levels 1 to 18 over 3 seconds. Really bad. I mean, you get 3 charges of 150 health, but 500 gold. You remember how Flask was like 345? This sucks. This sucks. This has been removed. This one has been, it's actually pretty better. Like 300 health. God damn, that's pretty good, but no longer reduces speculative slows, but who cares about slows? Is getting a buff, and along with Elixir's Wrath, although you know you don't get more extended on the duration, but you know 15% of all physical damage dealt heals you instead of 10%. God damn, that's pretty good. Next up, we're going to be going down boots and buff. Oh, this one's a nerf, and then buff. This one's kind of a nerf in my opinion. Buff. But let's talk about this one. So basically, people who like Flash will probably get this a lot. So you're going to see Thresh, Alistar. You know, it's really good in those supports. And yeah. Alright, so for everything here, basically this is a really good item, Death's Dance, really good on AD casters and assassins for survivability. This item is getting a nerf, so if you want to actually make use of it, you gotta build into Demotius now, which is actually getting a buff. Frozen Mallet gets a buff, Youmuu's Ghostblade gets a buff, Gunn's Rageblade gets a really interesting buff, and now Hexa Gunblade now heals for 15% of all damage dealt. So fun fact, if you guys didn't know, on-hit items like Wit's End and, well, this new Gunn's Rageblade, which gives magic damage on hit now, it didn't give health back for Spellvamp or Lifesteal, but with the Hexa Gunblade, it's probably going to give health back, I'm not sure. So you might see that hybrid jacks going on, and right here, Tymet is actually getting a buff. Like, this is actually a really good buff, even though it's being reduced by 10 damage and 10 health gen, and no longer passively cleaves around your target. You buy this for the active, so Rengar, Riven, and all these high bursty champions who want to add burst to their kit, whatever, will love this item, honestly. But I don't know if you actually want to build into Ravenous Hydra or Titanic Hydra anymore, because it's 300 gold more, which I thought Ravenous Hydra was completely balanced, but now you can exchange freely between Ravenous Hydra and Titanic Hydra, which honestly is pretty useless in my opinion. This actually gets 50 more health, but like, who the hell would you do that on, to be honest? And now, nerf, big nerf right here. All these stats are going down except critical chance. There's cooldown reduction, but oh my god, I don't know, this item is probably not viable on, or you know, not that great on some champions. Some champions will still buy it. Frostborn is actually getting a buff since ability power is being nerfed, so you can probably see it on other champions. Slow zone is going to increase with bonus armor, but you know, that's only good on Malphite, I think. Nerf. This is actually getting a nerf. I don't actually think I'll buy this on Kog'Maw because, well, a lot of stats are going down. Matters is going up, but still. Finally, nerf, and then a buff. But honestly, every item in this game is getting nerfed except for, like, AD items. So that's actually pretty interesting. And so you might see, like, you know, an AD carry kind of meta going on. Okay, ready? Buff. This is nerf. Buff. Actually, this is a really good buff. Nerf. Buff. Nerf. Buff? Actually, no, it's nerf. And then this item is just really dumb. It's honestly so stupid, I've never seen before. But basically, Longsword, Ruby Crystal plus 450 gold. You get this nice passive where 5 maximum health stacks up to 30 times, but this is only 150 health. And Ruby Crystal actually grants you 150 health already, so why are you paying the extra 450 gold? It's so stupid. Just for the 5 extra AD. Don't get this item ever, don't even upgrade it, like, it's better off not even getting it. Next up is going to be your new Brutalizer, although it doesn't really give any cooldown reduction. It does have this new passive where after killing any unit, your next basic attack or single target spells deal 15 bonus damage, but honestly, this is not that great. And then next up is going to be the other part of the Brutalizer, which has more attack damage and the 10% cooldown reduction, but no armor penetration. So usually laners will probably get this armor penetration item, and for junglers, since this build is a warrior, you'll probably see this item more in them. Then you have the Vamp Scepter, which is actually getting a really good buff, 5 more damage and 2% more lifesteal for 100 gold. God damn, you'll probably see this on every 80 carry after the Doran's Blade, or if they get Call. And yeah, they're just going to stay at that item for a long time. And then buff, and then buff. And finally, we're going to be doing masteries, but that'll be in another video, which you can click right here in the annotation or description below. And finally, we are going to be done. Thank you guys for watching this video. I know it was a bit rushed, but there's so much, shit that's going on. And I don't think I want to make an hour video just going over everything in depth, and that'd be just too long of a video, to be honest. But hopefully this is like 20 or 30 minutes. Actually, I hope it's actually like 20 minutes. And you guys got some insight. And yeah, thanks guys. I'm Patrick Dragon, and I'll see you guys next time.